What's good people? Welcome back to the channel here on Crewboy Productions. My name is BK, and this is the Silly, Nerdy, and Wordy Podcast. And this is episode 92, Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, Extended Edition. And this is another film in my nerdy rewatch series. What's going on, everybody? I hope everybody is doing very well. Glad to be back with you doing another episode for you. As I said, this is another film in my nerdy rewatch series, as I have done the first two Harry Potter films. You can check those out on the channel here, as well as The Dark Knight full episodes and multiple shorts from all three films. So what I'll be getting into today is The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, but the extended edition is what I have watched. And my history with Lord of the Rings. First of all, I have not read any of the books, but I have seen all the movies. I did see the films when they were out initially in theaters back in 2001 to 2003. And I have all three DVDs, and I rewatched those as well. And I've seen the Hobbit films also, and those Blu-rays, I have those. And then in terms of the extended editions for Lord of the Rings, I've watched through all of them once already. And so what I'm doing now is going to be my second watch through with these extended editions. So excited to get back into this world with Frodo and the Shire and Mordor and Rivendell and everything in it with these characters. I'm not going to go beat by beat with the story because everybody knows it. At this point in time, the film has been out for about 24 years, and this film still holds up today. And of course, we will be getting some new Lord of the Rings films coming soon, potentially starting in hopefully 2027, The Hunt for Gollum. That is in development. Casting is going on right now for that. So that film and two other films, Peter Jackson is involved. So excited that we are getting new Lord of the Rings content in a few years. But I'm talking about the first film that started it all. I really enjoyed the film. This was my, I don't know, fourth or fifth time rewatching this, just stepping back into this world. This film, particularly movie one, it won 4 Oscars. One of those Oscars was for cinematography, and another was for score, original score. And I'll get to cinematography in a bit, but one of the things I wanted to mention that I noticed 7 minutes or so, 7.5 minutes into the film right away, and there's a couple things about the actual ring, the Ring of Power, that everybody wants, that Frodo is trying to get back into the fire of Mordor, is first the ring in terms of in the prologue when Bilbo first gets the ring. Now we see the ring bouncing down a hill on rocks. We see that. But what I want to talk about is the sound of that ring bouncing down those rocks. That's a heavy, specific sound. That's not the typical sound that you would hear it if it was in real life and that ring was bouncing down. So that's hats off to the sound design team doing some type of sound within the studio or outside to get that sound for those 3 or 4 bounces as it is bouncing down those rocks before Bilbo gets his hands on it. And another thing with the ring is again with the sound design also. So when Bilbo, we're past the prologue, he's left the party, he's put the ring on and disappeared. He's going back into his house, gather his things. And he and Gandalf has had the conversation. And then before he steps out of the house, he drops the ring on the floor of the house and then he leaves. And again, that's just a heavy sound that drops to the floor of the house of the front door. That small of a ring is not something, it's not a sound you would hear like that. So that's a very specific sound that again that they had to work on to get that sound for the ring to drop like that, for us to get that sound. And so those are the sort of the typical things you would have to work on in a sound studio, or perhaps go outside to record different types of things to get those particular sounds for the ring or for different types of things. Star Wars, for example, they had to go out to different things outside, record different types of engines and all different types of things to get those specific sounds for ships taking off, landing, going into hyperdrive. That's just one particular example, but just sound design for to get those sounds of the ring bouncing down the rock, of the ring bouncing or hitting the floor and getting that sound. And then one last thing about the Ring of Power is, fast forward, we are about halfway or so through the film, and before the fellowship goes into the tomb of Moria, they're walking in the snow, and before Sauron starts talking and the snow comes down on them, Frodo falls and he loses the ring temporarily for a couple of seconds. There is a shot of the ring that goes close to the ring and it's on a chain, and you see how large it is. And it's only a quick shot for a couple of seconds. And you just see how large they make the ring look there in those couple of seconds. Of course, then Boromir picks it up and he eventually gets it back to Frodo. But small things there that I noticed right away in my rewatch that I wanted to talk about there. Some other things to notice is the kids that Bilbo is talking to at his party telling the story. Those kids, the Hobbit kids there that he's talking to, that he's telling the story, those kids are the parents of the cast and crew of the film, including the director, as well as Weta FX, a small thing there. Now, in terms of the story and everything, we know how it goes, but I just really enjoyed it. It really holds up from start to finish. And it's, you see how people are living in the Shire, and especially in the extended edition, you get more moments of them just being normal people, living their lives, enjoying their time in the Shire. You get more conversation, you get a conversation with Bilbo and Frodo about his parents, and you get that moment there. And so I love how they just took their time in different moments throughout this film, in the beginning of the film. And then, of course, you leave the Shire. I just really enjoyed it. Just everything just timed up really well with this film, from the writing, the casting, the scoring of the music, the sound effects, the locations, being in New Zealand, the way everything was lit. Speaking of lighting, when they get to Rivendell and they're having the council, and when they ultimately decide, well, Frodo says, I will take it. I will take it. That area there, whether outside, I really like how that is really lit in terms of the lighting and how it looks in that particular scene with the yellow, orange, dusk lighting. So hats off to the photographer and the colorist and the whole art department that was involved in that particular shot, as well as many of the other shots as well. And then the cinematography, this thing has cinematography from days, from start to finish, even the very last scene as Frodo and Sam are walking down the mountain and the movie ends. And then there's just so many great shots on the river, as they're in the water, as they're walking across the mountains, going into the mountain, coming out of the mountain, on the snow, the Shire, everything. Just, there was so many great wide shots. And then as the music is playing and as each character is kind of walking up the hill and you get the close up of them, I think that shot was probably used in trailers back then. So again, just so many great shots. And you can see why they won an Oscar for Best Cinematography. And the director of photography for this film is Andrew Lesnie. And the previous project that Andrew has worked on is all three Lord of the Rings films, all three Hobbit films, and as well as 2007 I Am Legend, worked on that film as well. And then another key thing in making a film work is the editor. The editor, in tandem with the director, is very important because they take things out and they keep things in, having the moments fit right together to make the film flow along with the sound department. Hats off to John Gilbert. He is the editor of this Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring film. His previous projects include Damsel, the 2024 Netflix film, November Man, 2014, and The 355, that was in 2022. Also, the composer, shout him out, Howard Shore. Awesome music in this film, and just the way and the moments, everything just timed up with the big moments, the heavy moments, the light moments, when we all thought that Gandalf had initially died after what happened with the Thou Shalt Not Pass, and that music and the emotion on everybody's face, the songs with the orcs and the different themes for everyone, and really just enjoyed it throughout the film. It elevated the film even more in every different aspect of the film and every location it went through. Really great job by the composer and everybody involved with the music, all the people in the orchestra, all the people that played the instruments. Really enjoyed it, and it's just, again, a great film. In the prologue of the film, we see that we are in Mordor to throw the ring back into the volcano, into the fire. But obviously that did not happen. He kept the ring. And of course, that was foreshadowing what would be movie number 3, Return of the King, as Frodo did eventually, spoiler alert, throw the ring back into the fires of Mordor. But little that we didn't know that in terms of that foreshadowing happening in movie number 1 to movie number 3, unless that is exactly how it was described in the book. But I have not read the books, so I can't speak to that. But just everything about the film, just going through all of that, getting connected with the characters again, and just knowing how their stories end. And again, just looking at the extended version of this film, getting a little bit more information, more context than what the theatrical film provided. So I just really loved it. Looking forward to rewatching The Two Towers and Return of the King again. I love those movies as well, and as well as the new characters and the locations that are introduced, as well as the battles that will ensue and the moments and more great cinematography shots in both of those films. But I think that is going to be all I'm going to say for this, because I'm not going beat by beat in terms of the story of this film, because it's a lot of stuff out there. But I wanted to put my voice to one of these great films, Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. And I also have reviewed and seen the animated film, Lord of the Rings, War of Raheem, that released in 2024. I did review that film. That is episode number 57. It is audio only. That was before I came on camera. You can check that episode out here on the channel. I will link that in the description for you. So subscribe to the channel for more content, as I will be going through more Blu-rays, some new ones that I just received, and the older ones that I already have. And hope you have enjoyed this. I hope you learned something, and I hope all of you have a great rest of your day. And until next time, we will talk soon.